I hadn't
the
started recording,
ritual,
excuse me.
oh good, the ritualistic aspect of religion and essentially the man-made aspect of it. Like there's wisdom, of course there's wisdom, but you can gain wisdom from a lot of places. And I feel that there's maybe some sort of confusion and overlap of like, tied to religion and spirituality that seems to be confusing, you know.
Yeah, I think, like everything can be have better definitions, more open definitions. Like if God, the definition of God is all that you can ever think of. And like the infant, like in the Quran, there's 90 names for God, and it's really about, like the unfathomable, the indomitable, the unknowing. But like
Right.
that God, people in
It's
religion, they get down on this punishing. Like Old Testament is very punishing, right?
mm,
So like Yahweh from Old Testament can be very scary. And then like, well, what does he look like? Oh, he's portrayed as a beard. So it's masculine, like God is, as opposed to no, like this is just our we're trying to understand this concept that's beyond us. And then
right.
like from Hermes Trismegistus,
Mhm.
like in the
Oof.
Kabbalion,
Oof.
he talks about
Ooh.
like principle
Yeah.
number one. Yeah, but this is it. Like he's
Yeah.
connected to Hermes, the god of
Mhm.
Mercury in Greek and Rome, Thoth in
Mhm.
Egypt. But it's all about that we are in the mind of God. That's principle
Right.
number one. This is a mental universe. So then this principle of correspondence says, well, what's in is what's without, above
Right.
and below. So we can connect to this, like, oh, mental universe, use my mind. But this is where we get all confused because a lot of this other stuff comes from the mind of man.
Yeah.
Catholicism and the history of it. Like when you get into it, it's about power and using God to say, we have divine right to take
Right.
this from you.
Right.
We will kill you. God told us,
I I feel like
inshallah, jihad, like all this kind of
right.
stuff.
Those are great points. I feel like that in in humanity's attempt at trying to personify God, that's where that's where like we can't fathom it, right? So it's I really this is where I like the
And people that
Tao.
think that they know exactly, like this is God,
No, I don't know. Like,
that's the ego, that's the error, that's
yeah,
the disconnection, right? Like to say we are one. Like
yeah,
in the Bible, it talks about one body. Hammurabi's the left toe, Ryan's the
right,
right-handed thumb. Like we all have a unique role to play, but we all are one body.
right. It's interesting. This is where I like the Taoist point of view or the Wu Wei, the Tao, that when you speak of the Tao or the all is one, for example, the way it's really, you can't define it. Even trying to define it, this is how they say it in their text. Trying to define it or trying to speak about it already
It's
eliminates
not
itself.
it's not the way. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not there.
yeah.
This is where I feel, and I guess I can make a segue into since you brought up the first principle of the all is one, meaning the
Mental
mind,
universe, yeah.
the
Mind
mental
of God.
universe.
Yeah.
This is a very a concept that is very rich in in Jungian psychology, consciousness, meaning that all we are is consciousness, you know, and tying it
It's
in
a
with
big word,
Hinduism.
isn't it?
Oh,
Consciousness.
bro, it's and I've been trying to figure out. My God, maybe I want to talk about this too, because
Go in it.
for
I want
anyone
this
interested in Carl
to
Jung,
flow as well. Like,
yeah, right. For everyone to
go.
talk about this. Now, earlier we just to kind of keep it in sequence, we talked about experiencing God, we talked about having the spirit, different aspects of it. Um, I want to tell you from my perspective, I experienced God through my own spiritual awakening that came after and I would say I wouldn't even say came after. It's been in the process for I guess since I was born.
Yeah, it's like
Right,
it's
like
like
it's
still
been
happening,
it's
right?
like it's still happening,
It's
right?
a
Like
never ending
and
story.
I've
Yeah.
just entered it and it came through mainly through my addictions, meaning that um I moved just to give you a quick synopsis. I moved to the United States about 5 years ago at the turn of the pandemic. And this is after living 14 years in China. I lived as a fucking addict all my life, and I say that without shame, meaning I am a person that has always chose instant gratification, that I was always chose to be fucking selfish, a rascal, a fucking sinner, and to really pursue that rascality, of the human emotion or behavior that we have within. So I wasn't always the nice person, or
The
having
shadow. Yeah.
the awareness. And in many ways, on I feel that that was responsible for my awakening, meaning like all my actions on July 3rd, on like around 3:30 p.m. of 2023, I experienced what I call like a mystical experience, and I've been trying to
Yeah.
explain it to myself for the longest time, where I went into catharsis for about 3 hours, bro. I've never cried that much amount of time in my life, where
Yeah.
my abs, and I'm such a emotional and a dramatic person, just as it is in my own personality. And I had a mirror in front of me, and I was interacting in my head with something. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was something, and I can feel it, that it was me. It was like, first of all, it was, I have like a couple of personalities inside of me, but it was one of like
We all have
right.
archetypes.
It was one of the personalities inside of me that was driving all my sporadic and chaotic behavior, that was interacting with some sort of, I wouldn't even say entity, but it was inside. It's funny because I make the effort like it's outside, but no, it was happening inside of me. And this is the beautiful part. I, During that time, I was negotiating, trying to stop crying and not, and I didn't even know. Honestly, it was like a really weird moment. Um, and the more that I tried to stop crying, I couldn't. And after the end of the experience, or to the end of the experience, the way that it stopped for me is I said, there is no other way. I looked at the mirror. I said, there's no other way but to live my life, but as a man of God. And I'm like, in everything, bro, I'm not going to begin you to think. It was like I had some sort of alignment in my entire body. And all the tears, all the fear, all of everything just went away. It went away. And something happened to literally my body, bro. Like I felt like I looked at, if I show you, I mean, I got to show you like pictures of this. I documented everything pretty well. And after that, I was like, what the fuck did I just say? Like, what happened? And here I am, like, normally in my own head, I was like, oh, Christian, I'm not like, I'm a Christian now or something, right? And what later on I can break it down, but after that experience, like my life changed. I went into what I know that they call it divine madness, where the spirit takes over you. And
Yeah.
after that, let me give you some hindsight. I was on July 20, sorry, October, sorry, on December 2nd of 2022, I had stopped drinking. Okay. So every day from 2022, so let's just start from like the beginning of 2023 until July. It was difficult, bro. You need to understand. I've never went, I'm a 43-year-old man. I never went longer than 90 days without a drink, meaning never longer than 90 days. And I'm not talking about just a drink. I'm talking about getting fucked up, where I would go into these loops of 90 days. And after that, like I was very proud of it. I hit 90 days, right? But I still had anxiety. Like I'm still fucking drinking and blah, blah, blah. Like I'm still thinking about this because I'm not out of the loop yet. It's only been 6 months. I shit you not, after that day, something clicked in me, something in me that n- I could be around alcohol without any anxiety. Like I thought it's like, oh, I don't even need to drink anymore. And that was the thing. And now that was it. It was like, oh, what happened? And there's this famous quote that was given by Carl Jung to the founder of AA in their first correspondence, that said spiritus contra spiritum, which is Latin for, in order to combine the spirit, which is alcohol, spirits are alcohol, one must have the spirit inside. And what he said regarding addiction was that people, at least within alcoholism at the time, seem to have an unconscious desire to want to be saved. And I didn't understand that. Like, what do you mean, an unconscious desire to want to be saved? Because all my life, I thought I was just an alcoholic. Like, boom, like that's it, right? According to whatever model you want to subscribe to it. Like, I don't want to be triggering when it comes to addiction, but this has to be told because addiction is being seen too much on the outside problem, which is the substance. Yes, fentanyl is a serious problem. Yes, heroin is a serious problem. Yes, alcohol is a serious problem. And yes, you can have a physical dependency on all these three things, and you name X given amount of drugs, whether it be food, whether it be whatever it is. And all my life, being back here, and sorry, not all my life, after I came back from China into the United States, I wasn't aware of mental health or addiction treatment services or rehab or any of this shit. Because in China, they don't, it's not something talked about. So when I came here, I started to do all these things, like go to the treatment centers and go to all these places, and they didn't work for me. It was really fascinating. And I didn't understand what about me, because I did want to help myself, but I didn't understand why. Like, what is it? And it was a combination of many things. The way we see the higher power, the way that I dealt with, the way that I saw myself as a victim, actually. But I refused, like I said, going back to those personalities, one of them saw myself as a victim, but the one that got me in trouble, bro, this is fascinating, was like, you're not a victim, motherfucker. I was like, whoa, like it was like this constant battle, you know?
Like you said, the rascal, right?
Yeah, like the rascal, man. It's
Loki, like
amazing.
trickster.
All
Yeah,
of that. And it's
yeah.
a beautiful quote. The slave to vices finds the way as little as the slave to virtue. And I'm like, wait, what? Like he goes, think about it. He goes, so we have two distinct people. You can have two distinct people, just for the sake of this example. You can live your virtues. And guess what's going to happen when you live your virtues? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, motherfucker. If you're not careful, you're going to become the problem. Or you can live your vices. So to quote the most one of my favorite guys, William Blake, a fool that persists in his folly. I like to add in parentheses why I either end up dead, and then he finishes it off, or wise. And I felt that I have to acknowledge that what saved my life was a lot of my stupidity, and at the same time, along with my will, because that's where I'm at. I mean, I was trying to condense so much into that conversation. I know that we can.
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
But like that's your alchemy transmuting pain into your gold, right? Like this connection to the greater.
It's
Everyone has
interesting.
like this unique experience of that, I think, and this is a lot of this, that once we feel that, you're talking about alignment, kundalini rise, whatever it is, like
I don't even know what that is,
that
bro.
you
That was
just
interesting.
feel like this greater love. And I think for me, crying is like alchemy. It's transmutation. I had to get stuff out this morning, but then I have this. I know that when I've cried it out, I laugh. That
Hmm.
and that's me, like just saying thank you for this human experience. Like I'm connected to all. Thank you for all of it. Like dark side, light side, shadow, like it's all the experience. You're not either good or bad. Like you
Right.
are just this soul having a human experience, right? This small piece of the greater.
Right. Yes. Yes. And that's what it is. And or at least, like to be able to have that awareness, right? And now I know like last week I was up in a conference in San Francisco at the Jungian Institute. And it was the title of the presentation, oddly enough, was Spiritus contra Spiritu, Impasses and Addiction Treatment. And ever since then, obviously, I guess I should preface it like that. After that experience, right, after stopping to drink, I found my purpose. And okay. And I realized that my purpose has always been associated to my pain, right? And to show people that there's ways that are alternative methods of being able to help people. And and it's important. And I never felt that I had a voice. So going back to this this event that I went, where it was two medical doctors, the addiction specialists, presenting on addiction and how and giving their perspective. Now look, everyone working in the addiction field, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that they're trying to do their best from their perspective to solve a problem. All right. And in the beginning, after I went through my whole being adversarial, thinking that I have the solutions, thinking that I'm the answer
It's
to
the
my own
ego. Yeah, I
egoism,
can do
the
it.
wounded healer archetype
Yeah,
shadow. I get it,
yeah.
you know? And I'm now in the point where I just recognize that I have a point of view that cannot be ignored. And and a lot of this point of view stems from from obviously my own experience, but it, it it's like you cannot come to consciousness without pain. So no matter, and this is for anyone out there listening, no matter what it is that you're fucking going through, all right? No matter what it is that you go through, try this, okay, as an approach. Be thankful for it. Try that as a perspective instead of complaining about it or
Gratitude.
seeing yourself. Be grateful. You know, every day in the morning I wake up and I say, I thank God for my bunions because they remind me to take my life, my life one step at a time. And I and they really do, you know, I have to
And
change this
alignment, right?
and alignment, right? Like I really do think, what I meant is like try to be grateful and look at the silver. Like what can you learn? Now here it is. Like when you're suffering, it's like Hammurabi, shut the fuck up. That doesn't help me at all right now because I'm suffering, right? I'm suffering. So so there's this idea that we go about this life wanting to only experience the good things and not recognizing that is these trials and tribulations that make you, you know. And that when people say, you know, how are you happy? Are you, well, you know, it's not about happiness, in my opinion. It's about understanding yourself to stay back to to a certain sense of normalcy for yourself. You know, happy is just a state of mind, you know,
That's
and
part
it's
of that
not,
balance, right?
it's part of the
The
balance.
normalcy is best in the middle of like your great experiences and your worst experiences.
Right.
And if it gets worse, it's gonna make your greater experiences even greater, right? Like this polarity of life.
It is a polarity, and it's a thing because our growth on this is, and I know you mentioned alchemy, and oddly enough, this is going to be the name of my book, Alchemy of Sobriety.
Beautiful, man.
All right, so Alchemy of Sobriety, and when I talk about alchemy, even for myself, because I got into it as a practice for myself since the time since I got into the United States. And what is alchemy? A lot of it, right? Look, crying is in a form of physical alchemy. You're fucking transmuting emotions, right? Writing and having and the practices to what they call it the spiritual path or the path of initiation, right?
Mm.
That's a very personal thing, and it also requires for you to, you know, make a commitment to yourself and to. I'm after the philosopher's stone in my head, which what they call mental transmutation, not just physical, of converting things into gold, but as an alchemist is I I remind myself every day, and I'm not talking about if people that know me, they know I'm serious. Everything becomes it's either a lesson. That's it. So you alchemize everything, literally. Like if shit goes on, like this cat just, you know, look at this. This cat just, I'm having this
St.
conversation,
Matthew swiped
fucking
Hammurabi
slash my
with it.
face, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right as we started. Yeah. Wow.
Right when we started. And what I mean is like, well, fuck, you know, of course that's gonna piss up. Now
Cancel it.
I can hang on to my day,
Yeah.
you know. But you know what I'm actually learning? I've never had a pet before, and I'm learning that I shouldn't be so loud around cats where they're in front of my face. That's why he reacted to that, you know.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
each
feel
is
like,
different as well. St. Matthew has his own like
check
quirks
this
and
out, bro. He's right here. He's not a
no.
mean cat, but I'm not gonna punish him for that.
Yeah, but if they're pissed off, they show it right away with a swipe, don't they?
Bro,
Dogs
he
are
just straight up
different.
got me.
Yeah.
No, no, the definitely dogs are definitely different. But going back to that, brother, like
But how would you
I think,
define alchemy for those that don't know alchemist? Like some
okay,
people watching, my mom's watching, she's like, what's that?
this is one of my favorite things I like to say. Okay. If you've ever transformed pain into love, that makes you an alchemist. All right. That makes you an alchemist. If you've ever taken a situation, right, and at the end of the situation, regardless whether it be a day or two, you can smile about it. That's alchemy. Okay.
You can
Now,
see God within that, right?
yeah, or you recognize, meaning, because
Divine.
normally we think, see, the alchemy has got three different facets. There's physical alchemy, which is what we are more uh, traditionally um, resemble alchemy. Like, what is it? What is alchemy? Which is turning lead into gold, right? And then there's mental and spiritual alchemy, a spiritual transmutation, as they call it. And what Jung kind of sort of interpreted that, and that's I'm huge influenced by a lot of the teachings of Jung, is
Yeah,
that
bro.
what these alchemists were referring to, it was an analogy, it was a metaphor for becoming the self or the highest expression of you, aka waking up the divinity within yourself. But the way
This is
that
that
we
Christ consciousness concept, right?
exactly. Exactly. It's just that. But in the easiest terms, like without the woo-woo aspect of the alchemical process, is transforming pain into love. That's all it is. And it can be done with emotions, it can be done with attitudes, it can be done. Even when you're crying, that's a physical example of your body, you know?
But I think this is so important for men because like the taboo around crying for men is that you're a pussy.
Right,
You're expressing your feminine side. Like this is the other thing of like you can go from the Jungian perspective, but once again, like the Hermetic principles, this principle of gender, masculine and feminine is in everything. And wow, don't you dare cry. You how dare you show your emotions? But when you actually do and like full body, and you said you were like 3 hours, like you're not the same after. So much flows through you that you've been holding on to. It's an amazing trend. You're not the same person after. But for
right,
guys, just we've been like taught to hold it in. I've spoke to
right,
my dad about uh, like when did you cry? They can't even
right,
remember. I
right.
asked my mom, "Have you ever seen my dad cry?" Maybe once. And like,
Yeah,
whoa, okay. So as a mirror, like learning that, I'm taught from the male in my life that not taught, but I'm learning that it's like you just don't cry, right? But it's
right.
so freeing.
To do it into a segue, this is the way I interpret it to awaken the Christ consciousness within. There's going to be a lot of deprogramming that has to go on. One, an example that crying for a man is a weakness, right? That's something that's been ingrained culturally. Look, where you coming from a different place. I was born Mexican in this third dimension, in this reincarnation. I'm a
Oh,
Mexican. The
you're not
machismo
macho, you
culture is
cry.
right. And guess what? I've always been a very, and here's, let's put it in Jungian terms. Um, what you're referring to, okay, these energies, this masculine and feminine energy. There's two concepts that can mimic the Tao, which is the yin yang, right? We'll call them the anima and the animus. The anima, and by the way, we can do podcasts on these forever, bro.
Dude, but the beauty of this is like we're initiating this podcast to be able, we spoke about this branches, so
Right,
us to go off,
right.
especially
That's what I'm
based
saying.
on the feedback and everything from people. So keep going, brother.
So yeah, so I'll tell you guys. So for if you're a female listener, um, you would be your soul is a masculine soul, which would be your animus. If you're male, your soul would be a female, which is your anima. Now, these are all archetypes within our consciousness that drive us. So, for example, for me, here, let me just talk about myself. I like dressing up. I enjoy fucking looking
Dude, I
nice and
wore this
pretty.
shirt
Uh,
because you dress nice, man. Like it's
yeah.
I love the
It
way
is six
when you're
o'clock in the
filming stuff,
morning.
like yeah, you wear
Yeah.
collared shirts, button-up shirts, you're training. Like
Yeah.
you you'd like to look good.
Not only that, but
Look good, feel
I
good, like
take
all
care
of
of
it.
myself. I put
Yeah,
creams and I put oils on my body and every day in the gym. Okay.
me
I'm
too.
around there a lot of guys and I have my little vanity kit as I call it. But now let's kind of backtrack from that. You can say that I'm a very feminine man. Okay. That I'm very in tune with my anima. Here it is. If you ever want to wake up your Christ consciousness or you name it, if you want to wake up, if you want to make sure that whatever internal struggle is, you need to figure out how to merge both masculine and feminine energies within yourself. All right. That's just the way it works because part of us, if we, for example, and I don't want to get too psychological right now, if you if you identify with your anima too much as a man, it will have negative repercussions in your relationships. Okay.
Not balanced. Yeah.
Not a balanced relationship. So we need to be very careful and vice versa. It will have implications on these
I think we're
aspects.
seeing a lot of this now. It's like this overreaction. So
It's
because
a
the women are
fascinating thing.
rising up, right? Like their masculine is getting quite the feminist movement, for example, is that, right? Like they're going into that. And then as this other response, not all the men, but a lot of the men are, they're just, the expression is they're more feminine characteristics. So the women are the masculine in the relationship, for example.
Right. And I feel that there's a huge not only disconnect and misunderstanding on what these things mean. And what
Yeah.
does it mean? And this is an example thing. I was just
We're
talking
not
about you
taught this
yesterday,
stuff, bro.
but we're not. we I was talking about you yesterday because you reminded me of my other buddy here, Sydney. Um, and I was telling people, I said, look, the most masculine man, actually, if you look at him, he's very feminine. You can see it within yourself. It's like you're connected with your feminine side. If you really pay attention, the most masculine woman, sorry, the most feminine woman is a very masculine woman. And the most masculine man is a very feminine man, because and I'm not talking now. I'm glad that you brought this shit up because right now I have this issue with this idea of toxic masculinity. Now, and I have an issue because you can define masculinity and femininity without the terms toxic in it. So masculinity it's not toxic. There's toxic fucking people, all right? And whether on either side, okay, whether on either side, and that's just because we're men here, whether we made a mistake in terms of pushing, and I'm not talking about we in general, but the whole man collective made a fucking mistake in the way we treated not only ladies. That's we need to take accountability for that shit, you know. But at the same time, like we understand now, like we need both of these energies, and there's no blah 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 blah. In my opinion, man, not in my opinion, women are portals, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're the most important thing. Like, here it is, and honor that aspect of it. This is growing up from someone, I have to say this, that was raised without his mother. Okay. I was raised without my mom. I had fucking mommy issues. I fucking lived every mommy issues. I've broken hearts. I've cheated. I fucking lied to women, all that shit. All right. I came to terms with all that stuff already. And now it's the complete opposite. The word that we're looking for is a good soundbite, enantiodromia. My conversion to my opposite means
Say it
that
again.
enantiodromia, it's a beautiful word, enantiodromia. Enantiodromia is what happens when you push a psychic energy to its extent that it goes into its opposite. So if you see me trying to be the best version of my life every day, how consistent I am, that's because I've spent the first half of my life being a fucking rascal, sinner, and a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm not acting. Like, this is not an act. It's like what drives me now is be, to live my life, but as a man of God. So what does that mean? And I fail at it every day, but I say it. To be with God, in my opinion, means to be responsible. That's it. You got to be responsible at all fucking times. To be with God. That's it. But we don't want that. For
So
example,
can
go ahead.
define responsibility for you? Like, how are you're responsible? What does that mean for you? Like every day you're waking up, what does responsibility mean? I like
Okay.
like ability to respond, like an easy breakdown, but to hear your take on it,
Right.
dive deeper on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now look, every day, think about it. Think about it, your work time. When you work, you're not 100% productive. We fuck around. You know what I mean? We're choosing not to be responsible. We're choosing to fuck around. We're choosing to do what have you or whatnot. And what it is to be with God is to follow your right truth within yourself in spite of everyone else. Now, look, what does that mean? What if you say, well, what if you're a crazy fucking nut and that now you want to kill people to impose your point of view? Well, that's not being with God. That's not being with God. That's something different. You know what I mean? That's an ego shit now. That's more related. And I feel that's what a lot of religions did, bro. Like, it's a very ego driven that you put God between you and the world. And that's a problem because God is not between you and the world. God is
Because
inside.
this is the we are one, right? That goes against that.
Exactly.
Not God.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not. And it's a really, really fascinating thing, like to put it in Bro, I don't know what's going on. I don't meaning like I wake up really early and something I feel like I've done this before in many ways. And I also feel like maybe I'm going crazy. Like there's a sense of like the veil that gets lifted that gets really tricky where I'm like, all right, I accept it. I'm a spirit having a human experience. This is fucking real in the sense that this is that. But you
Yeah,
know, I go to sleep and those existential questions like, where do I go? Do you know what I mean? All these questions, where
yeah,
do I go when I come back? When I go, today I chose the day today to be our first talk because it's the Lunar New Year. And not
beautiful.
only it's on the full moon, right? So the year of the snake.
New moon, yeah,
And the new moon. So you have powerful, powerful energies happening.
yeah.
And to just tell people, how long have we known each other?
I don't know. I was gonna throw this into an intro, but like it's like scoping each other out on Instagram based on Shina boards. I saw you
Which you were
rocking it and what you were doing and how you were coaching and like it got me going.
I want to say it like this because I feel like you're a man that embodies the characteristics that are great for being a role model, but even for myself. And I'll tell you that we come from an industry where there's a lot of competition, right? There's a lot of like, especially in the beginning, like, oh, you're trying to come up with your way and the Shino board and the Earth board, and I went through it too, like my way and this way and blah blah blah, and not sharing people's information because I want the piece of the pie and he's got to get
But this is
anyway.
the competition, like it's a different kind of a warring where it's like a disconnect, right?
That's the old way of doing things, in my
Ego
opinion.
driven, yeah.
Yeah, that's the old way. In the new way, in the age of Aquarius, we've entered now, and we've been probably entering this age of Aquarius in the past 5 years or so, but more so in the past 2 years. But it's a
Beautiful,
transition. It's not just like the age of Aquarius, right?
yeah.
Where systems collapses, old way of doing things collapse, right? So the idea is like, whoever resonates with Ryan, anyone can help people. We're all mirrors for one another, right? We're coming in here, we're cross-pollinating, as you're building your ecosystem and I'm building my ecosystem. And that's sort of the way it works.
It's
Um,
collaboration. Like it's a biblical quote. I'm sure I found like steel sharpens steel,
yeah,
right? Like soul team, like connecting and we're each expressing it differently, and then oh, there's another idea, and then I say something, and then you put your spin and your magic on it, and then vice versa. But if we're like, we'll never ever get to that point of like, well, what can we create together? How can
for the
we
first
boost
time,
each other, right? Get on
right.
my shoulders, bro.
I never had this now as I have it now.
Yeah,
Like
I grew up very
I
competitive.
was never stingy. I was never stingy, but I've never had this, like I was more guarded. And now I'm like, no, like
Yeah,
if people resonate with you, like go, bro, because you never know who 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 Ryan is gonna help, right? Or who, someone's looking at my stories and then they see your ass. Like, bah, I don't know. I don't know. You
but
never know.
that's the beauty of sharing it. If you don't do it, then we don't know. Like we're
Yeah,
putting out these ripples that we have no idea. And like anywhere we go and anyone we meet, just a smile can have this like big ripple effect. But
now let's see some.
if
I
we're
have
like if we're sometimes this is the like I've had friends that there was this at the beginning, like, oh yeah, like he's so like me. But then I want to like, yeah, guy, he's funnier than me, and whatever. And then it's like, man, we're the best friends because we're so alike in all these different ways, and then we each have our fun ways of doing things. But if we keep fighting each other, and I think this
right,
is part of this other whatever, it can be antichrist because it is disconnection. It's like these lies that I need to be better, or lack of abundance as well, scarcity
right.
mindset, like
That's the old way.
you're
That's
gonna
the old
take
way.
mine, I gotta get
Yeah,
you, or I gotta be better than you, or the females, or whatever, right? Like I gotta
that's
try to get
that's the old way,
more.
brother.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, in
not
my opinion,
evil.
that's
That's why
really
we're
the old way
here.
of doing things. Yeah, man, like, look, you strike me as an amazing man. Um, and I've known you for some time now. You were very kind to send the Earth board for me, which I appreciated. And I feel like everyone that you meet is literally like we make soul contracts. Like I don't know what the fuck or how we're connecting. We've never met in person, like in like live, right? Like you meet people along the way, and it's funny because for those of you out there listening right now, that if you are feeling demoralized with social media or overwhelmed, there's two things with that. Um, Number one, just remember that you always have the control of what you see. All right. But sometimes we can be so in it that we
Empowerment. Yeah.
think that we not have that empowerment. You can choose what you want. Number two, you can make connections in genuine connections, but that is just going to be based on your ability to connect with people. It has nothing to do with the rest, because it's a weird thing. A lot of people, oh, I don't like living on social media. Guess fucking what? Social media, not even that, but the advent of the internet, this is just a transitional phase into the next thing.
Yeah.
We're coming into a singularity of sorts, and it's happening.
AI. Yeah.
Wherever the fuck we think about it or not, it's happening. Now the question is, were we already in the singularity? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But guess what? Like you mentioning all these well, you mentioned earlier the mentalism, like the universe being,
Yeah.
mental.
First principle. Like
Bro,
when in doubt,
anytime
if you
you
get
want to
fucked
go
up in
ahead.
your mind, just think that and then go into your own mind, start with yourself, and work on your mindset. Like what's going on in there. I think this is the social media, we're constantly comparing ourselves. Like what we're saying,
Right.
like you and I, oh man, look at his Shannon board. I'll never be able to do it. Why would I even come up with Hammurabi's better?
Here,
Don't ever.
here's a freebie. Here's a freebie. Here's a freebie of Jungian psychology in action. Okay, of Jungian in action. Okay, so give it to you guys for free. All right. Anytime that you feel irritated, let's say you're scrolling on your page and then you're like, oh my God, that fucking bitch. Look at him. You know, like or whatever. If you get an ounce of like hate towards people or insecurity towards people, that is a window to your own healing.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, why do I feel like that about this person?
Yeah.
Why is it that Ryan is fucking over here all jolly and shit and he's trying his best all the time, whatever? And I'm just projecting. I'm just projecting, right? I'm just projecting. I have
Yeah.
no idea
What is
what
it
Ryan
saying
is doing.
about me? Yeah.
What is it saying about me? Like, what is it? Maybe can you use a little bit more positivity in your life? I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah. When
what
I go Bible
aspects?
with this is like judge not lest you be judged. Nobody likes to be judged. So why do we do it? Because this is what we learn, right? And then this is the whole process of like people can't forgive. Nobody ever forgave me or blah, 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 blah. Like once again, like this ego kind of fighting against this expression of self. And then what does it mean? How you're so externally focused. How do I my world is I can't connect with it, as opposed to just go within and be with yourself and come up with all the like emotional intelligence is how to process hate. You're feeling hate, great. Esther Hicks has a great scale of like this all these emotions, right, from joy bliss number one to
Right,
your darkest. So like where are you at on that? Talk to yourself, and then where do you want to go and how can you shift it? And you can shift things like in an instant from
right,
people that have like the worst experience ever, and then enlightenment is coming, and then you feel like unconditional love.
right. It's a process too. Like right now where I'm at, like in terms of my own personal journey, is and it's another great quote. Coming to conscious without action is useless. It's like who gives a shit how much consciousness you have if there's is not followed by action. So there's a responsibility not only for you to start creating, for myself to start creating now, and whatever that looks like, right? Whether it be content to share young in work or this or that. So now to put it in more concrete terms, now as a coach, and we're both like life coaches or what I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it started off with fitness and it's merging now, like as I'm evolving, that it is the age of and this is one of my little campaigns, or I hate to put it like that, but it's the truth. It's the age of weight loss is over, if your mental health is not in order. And what I'm trying to get at with that is that me growing up, like everyone wants the six pack, everyone wants to fucking look good, look strong. And how I asked myself, how different my life would have been if you would have had like, I'm after mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like mental health. Like, so what does that mean? So understanding how to regulate your own emotions, dealing with your generational bullshit, like, right, like these aspects of it. So now, and I'm sure you have similar methods now in how I go about coaching is like, okay, I have the body aspect of it, and meaning, the modalities of training the bodies, choose whatever resonates with you, whether it be yoga, whether it be movement, playing, earth boards, whatever it may be, right? The body is one aspect. The mind component, it's not just the mindset. Mind component is really interesting. Uh, it's like we are expected to work out so we can build some muscles, yet we don't seem to do that for our mind and for our spirit. We need to work them out too, right? And the way the mental component can be what I use for the mind component is a lot of stoicism, for example, a lot of wisdom along that regards. A lot of and the journaling or the gratitude journaling and the connection to the self. That's what I define as spirituality. The self as in an archetype of the God within, you know. And these things,
Beautiful.
I'm combining like my own version of doing it, but everyone has their ways. But at the same time, I still like yourself, I imagine you're the learning never stops.
Yeah, but this is why like people check out. Like it's boring in whatever way, or it's too painful, or it's this, that, or the other. Like you and I are still excited to explore all these areas because there's so much depth, there's so much experience to experience, like dreams and all this other stuff. And then, you know, if you're going with the flow, then what comes to you from this divine? Like, well,
Mhm.
is there a plan? Does God have a plan for me? Do I,
Yeah.
if I align my will with God's will and just like surrender and, you know, flow
Here,
with it,
here's a
what's going to happen, baby? You know, as opposed to me, like, I need to figure it all out. I think this is part of the mental illness is in our minds, like we have to figure out it's all on us. And
right.
that's a big load to carry, man. And like we don't create everything, you know,
No.
all the
Here,
different parts of the dream or our reality or whatever it is. Like there's stuff that's happening that we can't explain. It's ineffable, right? There are no words to
right.
explain the divinity or nature or whatever, right? And I
This
say
this is one.
if you're an atheist, if you don't believe in God, well, what do you believe in that's greater than you? And like in
Look.
my picture here, it's of Earth from space, and this changed human beings' perspective when they saw the first photo of Earth from space. About like, wow, this is our home,
Right.
right? Like that, a perspective shift can boom.
Yeah, it can change everything. It definitely can change. Here, regarding destiny or regarding the will of God or what have you, I thought about what is destiny, right? Like think about it. So what if destiny, if you can figure out what Ryan's destiny is and Hammurabi's destiny, and what if destiny was just the pursuit of your higher self, pursuing the will of your higher self? That's where you meet your destiny. But how do you know? Are you acting from your higher self? And for myself, the more when I became aware of that, and now I started off, I'm finding my way in fitness and this, and all of a sudden now I'm in addiction and mental health. And I'm just trying to pursue now what I find in alignment. And then whatever happens, happens, especially, not even to understand that whatever um, obstacle is in front of me is part of the way,
Yeah,
for it. Now, so long as I'm pursuing the will of my higher self. And this is the weird aspect of it.
it's
If
how
the
you approach that challenge or that opportunity, however you want to look at it, right? Is it half empty, half full? What, God, don't
whatever
punish me with this, or
right now,
all
whatever
right, let's go. It's painful, but I'm through it.
yeah, it's fascinating, man. I really I think it's just incredible. Like, and I love it. I love going down these rabbit holes, exploring spirituality. For the first time, I don't feel
That's part of the
alone.
madness. People can
Yeah.
get lost in that, like you said, without the action,
Yeah.
they'll just be somewhere else, right? Like
Bro,
the
and I'm
action,
gonna
we interact with this world. Like this is the physical, and
look,
being able to use our bodies, take whatever we comes through us to be able to like put it out there. For me,
here's another
singing is part of
approach.
that, and dancing.
I love that. Here's another way to look at it. Let's say for myself, I recognize that I struggle with the mundane task, or not mundane, the task of like, let's get this website going on, let's blah 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 blah, because I just want to work. I just want to do my thing, right? And then like forget about the rest. Now, we need to be able to make a living, blah 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 blah, and do all this other aspect of it. But right now, the biggest challenge that I'm dealing with is applying and to enter or harness my emperor archetype, you know? So the building, because we have to build. We need to
Talk
build.
more about like emperor, more characteristics of that. People know emperors, but like from
Okay,
your,
so oh man, like
what's the
it,
emperor car architect? Yeah, let's dive.
it's a funny thing because this can be, we should probably do this
And
next
maybe
time.
balance and imbalance. Like
No,
what's
no, I'll tell you. Here, I'll tell you.
ooh, we gotta see your house.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for
for
the
sure. I would
tour.
love to
No,
show
it's
you.
awesome. Yeah.
Here. Here, I'm gonna show you what I pulled. Okay.
Show me.
Around the August new moon, the super full moon, the last one, I pulled 3 cards and I posted about them. Okay. The 3 cards were
Taro. Yeah.
I pulled an upside down moon, and I pulled the Emperor, and I pulled the Lover. Okay.
Sweet.
Now, what is the tarot?
Major arcana. Yeah.
Major Arcana. I only work with the Major Arcana. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And I only
They're
work
the archetypes. Yeah.
yeah, they're the archetypes. Now,
26.
when people talk to me, it's like, what is this? Does this tell your fucking future? What's going on? No, I don't believe that. All right. It doesn't work like that. What it does, it is a framework for you, it, because it'd be a lie for me to tell you that I'm gonna solve your fucking problems. No, that's not the way it works. It's a framework, all right? It'd be a lie. Whoever tells you that they can interpret your dreams or they can tell you something about you, they're lying. I'm sorry, no one can do that but yourself.
Yeah.
Now, they can help you. So I pulled 3 cards. The Emperor refers to connecting with people, hence why we're having this discussion right now. This is around August of last year, okay? That I know that I needed to reach out and to start building my own quote unquote little empire, so to speak. What does that look like? The coaching business that I like to have. How do I impact the community? How do I, go about business end of things, right?
Your
Control,
responsibility.
more
Yeah.
poised, responsibility, right? Then I fucking pulled the Lover. Now, the Lover is a very, very interesting card in the sense that it can be misunderstood in the sense of just strictly related to love. The Lover refers to a commitment to a path. Okay. And it's interesting because I just broke up with my ex-girlfriend. I had just decided that the Lover archetype was not the way that I wanted to experience my life at the age of 40, because now I need to build. I recognize, and this is something that you have to have an awareness about yourself. I love being in love. And it was a problem for me because I would get addicted to just being in love. So you break
Yeah.
up, you do all this other shit, right? But either way, after all that aspect, I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to my path of myself to just build, take your time and to build. The third card that I pulled was the Moon. The Moon is a powerful card because, and it's actually a playful card because the Moon in the midst of the night is what illuminates. And this is a symbol of your consciousness, your conscious awareness. And the way that I interpret these cards for myself is like, okay, clearly I'm being called in the way that I'm interpreting them to build. I need to build and to commit myself to this path of building with having my awareness now. Okay, how does that going to look like? Right? This is where the writing and the creating of the reality that I want to see for myself happens. Right? That was a simple 3 card pool on just like that. And I do have the minor arcana, but I'm just a fan of the archetypical imagery from the major arcana.
Yeah. Which is great because like your connection to Jung is all about that as well.
Yeah,
Not tarot specifically, but archetypes, speaking in that language to
archetypes.
better know yourself. And this is the whole like multiple personalities. If you just say like, okay, like this is the archetypes, it makes it
Look,
easier as opposed to feeling like you have a problem because there's a part of you
we
that is
definitely
this way.
we're definitely going to riff on the map of the consciousness, because I not only I need to do that for myself, but I'm also going to host a Jungian analyst that's an older, like, old man, just so I can get his perspective, that it's obviously
Yeah,
more
his experience.
his experience. But the archetypical images exist in the psyche, objective psyche, regardless of you or not. So what we need, and then we can dive into this, like you need to, so for example, the Lover archetype is the easiest one to kind of explain because when you think about, well, what can be bad about the lover archetype? Well, how about this? The worst possible thing of a lover, uh, uh, death by when a lover murders his wife or his ex-wife
Yeah.
or somebody.
Yeah.
That's the
Madness,
shadow
right?
side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Madness can catch you to do a lot. So that's you. You're not acting out of a conscious state. You are possessed by this complex.
Yeah.
And your ego is over identifying with this concept. So what do? You fucking go and kill somebody because you're in love and fuck that bitch and fuck that man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the way that I like to explain the archetypes for
Great,
people.
man.
And because yeah,
Yeah,
it gets
there's so much to dive into with that.
yeah, I'm glad that we hit a
That's
lot of topics. How do we do?
yeah, we do for sure. Like this brings up a lot of great stuff. I
How
think
do we
what we'll
do?
do at this point, we're gonna close
Yeah.
it out for the moment, man. But it's beautiful. Thank you so much. What are some closing words that you want to share with listeners, like the action steps? You've said a lot of different things, and you emphasize responsibility, action as well, and like what's something you want to make sure that people, the gold that you want to share as a final.
Right. As a final closing thoughts, you guys. Oh shit. Okay, I will end with one of my favorite quotes. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. And I say that this is by Carl Jung. I say that as an invitation to you listening out there, uh, that regardless of whatever trials and tribulations you're going through and the way that you address yourself or the way that you think about yourself, that you take this statement: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. And you recognize your own involvement in whatever it is that you're doing. All right.
Yeah,
And you know, see where that takes you
yeah,
and see what that does for your life and for your day.
beautiful.
Personal
And then
responsibility.
so if people want to connect with you, where are they seeing your stuff, man? If they want to, like, man, Hammurabi,
Right.
I want
At the
more. We can share
primal.
stuff. I'm gonna share stuff
Guys, I'm
in
trying to
the
find my
description.
voice online, and I feel like I can take one from Ryan's book here, Addressing the Camera, which you do so well, brother. You do so well. You know your voice very well. And it's very inspiring for me to do. It's like, come on, just do it, right? So you can go at the Primal Alchemist. That's it for the moment. At the Primal Alchemist.
On
Um,
Instagram. Okay.
Instagram, that's all. So I'm
You,
sure
you
we'll
have
put
he's got amazing content. Like you really put all of it out there, right? Holistic health, your journey as well, your life experience, everything with Jung that you're diving into deeper and deeper as well. So it's you inspire me as well, man.
oh,
Steel
cheers,
sharpens
brother.
steel, brother.
Here, hold
Yeah,
on.
like
Let me
collaboration,
get a
creation.
me. Here it is.
There it is.
Authentic conversations. And here's my little man.
Yeah.
Say Matthew the stab my eyelid, bro.
Here's
Look,
Beagle Boy Milo.
at Milo. Oh, look at
Milo,
him.
Milo. Yeah,
Oh my
baby.
God,
Spirit animal.
bro.
Awesome. Do you
All
have any
right, my
other
man.
spirit? Well, I'm gonna say spirit animal.
No, you know what? So after oh yeah, I'll tell you like real quick. The spirit animal it was like a cat, bro. It was a cat after my awakening.
Yeah.
Thought about a Maine Coon.
Panther is one. Big cats have
A
been
big
one
fucking
of
cat,
mine.
brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like jaguars. Delta Panthers was our mascot. I have owls. I don't know if you can. I
Mhm.
have like owls are some of mine as well.
I
It's
like the symbolism behind like toads.
yeah,
Transformation, bro. I look,
yeah.
I've been talking, I've mentioned generational healing and all this shit. I didn't realize, but I also one of my generational strengths that was passed on to me is resilience. I'm a resilient fuck. I never knew that.
It's
Through
hard
my
to kill.
addictions, I found out.
You're hard to kill because you love life so much, brother.
Love it, right? Thank you, bro. I'm glad that
Thank you,
we had
man.
this talk. Okay.
Yeah, me too. We'll follow up with stuff like with this.
Please
You
do.
get all kinds of content.
Awesome, my man.
We'll
Have a
play.
beautiful day and
You
we'll be
too.
in touch. Okay. Much love.
Talk to you soon,
Peace.
brother. Much love. Peace.